I just realized what Jonesy is wearing here. And
Green
I got
Ranger.
Green Ranger.
I got a back.
Oh yeah, you got your White
that.
Ranger hoodie on.
I know, right? I know.
Nice. It's a cute like couples outfit.
I know, right?
Twinsies.
Right?
Danny's wearing his only nerdy shirt, which is the same Star Wars shirt. It's like every week there's a good episode of Star Wars. He's got it.
Somebody is going to the premiere of One Piece Film Red.
Oh yeah.
Up in this bitch.
Yep.
Oh, obviously it's Jammer.
No, it's not. Have you read any one? Have you caught up? Have you caught up with 1,000+ chapters of One Piece
in a week?
Me?
God, no.
Did you read any more?
I didn't read any of because I'm like 30, 31 somewhere in there on the Jump app. But I went. I started reading through some of the character bios, like wiki pages you suggested, just to have a little bit of input for what I'm going into.
One thing that's worth noting as well is there are different hierarchies in the world. You have the 7 warlords of the sea, which I don't think you've seen in the story so far. And essentially they are pirates sanctioned by the government to do pirate stuff, and essentially are given a free pass in order to, if the government needs them, they have to fight on their behalf, which is used a few times within the series. Later on, it's abolished, so I don't know if this movie takes place when that whole system is abolished. Additionally, there's an unofficial set of groups called the Four Emperors. Fans call them Yonko, but that's just a shitty translation or non-translation. The Four Emperors, essentially, they're unofficially the most powerful pirates in the world. They were Whitebeard, Red Hair Shanks, who is one of the characters in this one, Big Mom, and Kaido. Literally in the story right now, things have shifted to where it's Shanks, Buggy, Luffy, and oh my god, the fuck who is it?
Who's in your background?
Blackbeard.
Mm.
So things have recently shifted. Okay. So I don't know if Luffy's going to be an emperor in this one, but it's possible he could be considered an emperor.
Nice. It'll be a lot of fun, and knowing that it's not canon, like you said, kind of, I guess relieves a little bit of apprehension, but I'm not going.
It literally will just be a thing where it's like characters are gonna pop up and everyone's gonna cheer. And you're like, I don't know who the fuck that is. That's literally what it's gonna be.
I'll cheer right along with them. I like I said, I was really excited to get the invite, not to work, but to attend from Crunchyroll. Like, hey, come out here and see this with us. So, and Gig really boosted my thoughts on that. So I essentially am looking at it as a bet on genreverse, AVR specifically with Crunchyroll, because they could, hey, do a video on our main channel talking about this show or this movie that we're doing, and that's massive.
Or maybe down the line they could do sponsorship, something
like that. Paid links, hey, there's a Crunchyroll, that's how we watch our anime, there's a link down, if you sign up for it we get a nickel, whatever. So that's the main reason I'm going. So hopefully it all works out.
Mulan.
Yeah, you guys ready? Is my mic button's working, so I'm ready. You guys ready?
Yeah.
I'm sleepy.
Oh, hold on a second. Calm yourself. Shit. Okay, continue.
What?
Right.
Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of Polarom Online and the Genreverse Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and with me this week is the remainder? Everyone. We're all here. It's the Latastic Four. I'm super sleepy. I'm sorry. The words are going to get jumbly-wumbly. I'm sorry. Joseph Jammer Medina, Nick Dahl, Danny K. Barley. Stop tapping on my entrance. I'm not gonna make it. I'm just not gonna. I can't. How y'all doing?
Good.
I said I'm sleepy.
I know you're sleepy.
Danny's trying to derail this train. I'm like, no, I can't. Listen. I asked how you're doing. I don't care. Listen to me. I have never been more tired before the show.
Disagree
ever. So like it is
that's true.
11:30 at night here. I've been up since 0300, so 3 a.m.
Oh, gross.
And then we we did a 20+ mile hike through the mountains of Seoul, and I'm fucking dying.
Oh, that sounds fucking awesome though. Don't complain at me.
Not with 50 pounds of gear on your back and stuff.
So we had
It
We
sounded
had
like
zero
relaxing,
gear.
a relaxing.
Oh,
hike.
zero gear.
I'll send you guys a picture later, but there's this thing called the Soul City wall walk, and it is around the perimeter of almost the entirety of Seoul. And I'm haggard. I'm sleepies. Everything hurts, like lots. So
I just got
we
a
didn't
story
eat.
idea though. Like imagine it's a story based in Seoul that has to do with ghosts, and they call it Soul Suckers. Boom.
Fuck you. So
when he's a soldier.
man. So keep in mind. So check this out. We were up
Soul,
since
not so.
I was up since 03. We ate lunch at 2:30.
Damn.
Like
Oh,
it was just a
PM.
miserable fucking day. Yeah.
Oh,
2:30
so
p.m.
you were up
And
for
I'm just like,
almost 12 hours hiking, but before you ate lunch, did you eat breakfast?
I had a banana and a fruit cup.
The fuck is wrong with you? That's your problem. You should have been open up earlier so you can make yourself some breakfast to get you through that day. That's a you problem, sir.
Like what? What do
Make a
you
fucking
think
oatmeal.
gets you
Quick
through a
oats,
20?
Banana.
Didn't have any.
Get some.
No. And also, part of the other thing was like part of the reason why I
Flaxseed
was so
meal, chia
unprepared
seeds.
for that was
Throw in some fruit, almond butter.
Shut up.
Done.
It is bad. No one's to hear your health nut thing just because you've been doing a good job.
Okay, I am like
Drinking
easily
his disgusting
the
coffee.
third or fourth least in shape, least in shape in this podcast. You can't call me a health nut. Like I'm pretty sure I'm in worse shape than Kyle, than Jonesy.
Yeah,
than Danny.
right.
No offense, Nick. I'm not in less shape than you.
No, you're not.
But
That's why I don't know why you said third or fourth. I'm like, that's absolutely me.
I get winded going up and down the stairs, okay? But I can't actually work out. So
that's fair. I mean, you have
man.
an excuse. Actually, Nick does have an excuse too, but we don't need to talk about that.
We don't need to talk about that. You know what we want to talk about? We're going to talk about.
Well, I was going to say,
movies.
welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast where we discuss nothing that anyone wants to hear.
you guys
No,
track
these are
each other's
important.
health,
This is
health
important.
stuff. Like, come
Yeah.
on now. Like the audience is invested. They always anxiously await you to finish runs and
Like last week, one of these two guys was like, "Oh, Danny just worked out or some shit."
Yeah, I was like, Danny
And
just
we're like, "Are you
literally in the
stalking
middle.
him?"
Yeah.
My watch went off, and I was like, "Oh, Danny just finished the workout."
freaking weirdos.
So speaking of which, I crushed every record on my iWatch, my Apple Watch. I did 400% of my move goal and 200 and something minutes of a workout. Like I'll never, unless I run a marathon, I'm not going to hit those stats again.
Got to move that goal up. That daily
So
goal
I've
up now.
been doing something where I've been doing zone running, like basically running within a heart zone. I run fucking slow with that. Like if I'm trying to keep myself within zone 3, oh my God, I'm like, is this even doing anything for me? I don't feel like it is, but I did that for 2 hours and 45 minutes the other day. It was so
Why?
fucking long because that's
What's
how
your
long-
goal?
12 and a half miles.
Okay. So your goal is endurance. You're trying to just be able to run 12 and a half miles.
I mean, I'm doing a half marathon. And the thing is, about a decade ago, I ran a half marathon and I did it, but like I was doing really good. I was like, oh, I'm doing 7.5 miles. And then like at mile 10 or 11, my knee was just like, nah, fuck you. And then I basically was hobbling for the last few miles and I ended up at 2 hours and 5 minutes, which is like
It's not bad.
I mean, it's like 9:30 ish, give or take.
Yeah.
But my goal is to make sure that when I do this, now over a decade later, that I don't injure myself. First of all, don't do that again. And in order to do that, I'm trying to build up to it. But I've been looking into zone training to see like, oh, if I do this over time, look at Danny shaking his head. Tell me more about.
I was just about to ask. You should ask Danny what you're doing
Danny,
wrong.
what's up? Tell me.
Honestly, the best thing to avoid injuries when running is don't run. It's a movement or an exercise that is just not good for you physically at all.
Well, that's
whatsoever.
not what I
We are
want to
not-
hear,
That's
Danny.
you know what
I'm not
that nobody
gonna-
wants to
I know.
hear that. Nobody wants to hear that.
Mm-mm.
But you into zone running, gotcha. That's a heart rate thing, so that's an endurance thing. But it sounds like you need musculoskeletal endurance, which is why you're doing the distance to look after your
Ooh,
legs and
very
stuff,
nice.
buddy. So it would be more of a fitness thing for you, strength and stuff, rather than actually training with the heart rate. The heart rate's okay, but for a man of your young youth-ish, don't
You know how
stress
old
too much.
I'm
about it.
56.
Don't stress too much about that.
Sure,
at
they
all,
look
buddy.
that way.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
I have a
so
health
keep doing what I'm
announcement too.
doing. Oh, go for it.
Yesterday
Nick.
was
You're
50
pregnant.
days without cigarettes.
Hey,
Oh, that
Good
is awesome.
Hey.
Good job.
that's great. Wait. Question: does that include no juuling? What the fuck it's called?
No,
No,
Vaping?
You gotta get. You
Well,
gotta
no,
No,
get
that
smoking.
doesn't count. Take back your claps.
Yeah.
It does count. I'm not breathing
long-
in poison.
I mean, you are. It's vaping. That's still equally poison. Not equally. It's still poison.
Yeah.
To be fair,
We're
I
taking
drink,
back our
so that's
clap,
also
Nick.
poison. No, I'm
Fuck
not.
you
Yeah.
guys. I'm going home.
Yeah, I shouldn't
No
be
clap-
giving
no
the
clap for
to
you.
anybody.
That's
Yeah,
right.
don't
No
give the
clap for you.
to anyone, Joe.
No, I'll give
clap
it
for
to you.
you.
I'm keeping your clap in. Keep it up.
You guys
I
still give me
guess-
the clap.
That's right,
but,
Jeremy.
Danny
Yeah, that's
won't
right,
give me the
Jeremy.
clap.
You
Gonna give you the
clap.
clap.
Jeremy, you give him all the clap.
We are close enough. I mean, distance.
No, we're not.
No,
We're
I
not
mean
that
distance.
No, we're not close enough, Nick. We'll never be that close. I'm sorry.
No,
to
I
say
mean like
it.
you're 4 miles
Clap.
away. Danny would have to travel a long way to give me the clap.
That's fair.
I, can
I
send
feel
you
like that's
some in the
that's what makes it more likely to happen, right? Like that
Yeah.
distance. Like, man, it's gonna happen.
post. You could lick the envelope, and I'll lick it before I send it to you.
Is that how? I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think that's enough. That's not how the clap works.
You need fluids.
Anyway.
You need fluids from somewhere else, there, Danny.
Ew.
Well, I didn't
Let's
say what was in
continue.
my mouth before I licked it.
That's fair. That's a good point.
So Black Adam is a movie that came out.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
Speaking of the clap,
Speaking of sexually transmitted,
What? How? Why?
speaking of
Please,
something
someone-
I thought
you
we
just
would-
can't get rid of.
because it makes you.
Another
Because
DC
depending on who
movie
you
came
are, apparently Danny loves it.
I do. I did.
Yeah,
Did do. Will.
We're going to talk about this film, and we're going to have
Cool.
differing opinions about what did happen. So, in an ancient kingdom of Kondak, Teth Adam was bestowed the almighty powers of the gods. After using these powers for vengeance, he was imprisoned, becoming Black Adam. Nearly 5,000 years have passed, and Black Adam has gone from man to myth to legend. Now free, his unique form of justice, born out of rage, is challenged by modern-day heroes who form the Justice Society. Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone. So this is a PG-13 film starring The Rock. It has you're going to love this, 44% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics. And anybody want to guess the audience score if they haven't seen it already?
65%.
72.
You are all fucking wrong.
Damn.
I'm ashamed to be associated with you. 88 goddamn fucking
Should
percent.
have known. The
Yep.
DC.
You
Should have
Yep.
known.
Yep.
Should have known.
It's not a
Uh,
DC thing. It's purely a Rock thing. I feel like. For
Are you
this
sure?
one.
Suicide
No,
Squad
I'm not
had
sure.
a
I haven't
high-
seen it. I haven't seen it, so I have no idea. But that's just
Could
my
be a rock
speculation.
thing. You're right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's be real.
This-
The Rock. You go in there. You're not expecting quality. Sorry, Rock. But you're expecting to at
What?
least have a. I don't expect quality from The Rock. I just expect something that's good to like
Fair.
yell
Jungle
at
Cruise?
or laugh
Jungle
at.
Cruise wasn't quality?
I mean, it was fine. It was fun. I wouldn't watch it again.
What? All right. Anyway.
To be fair, his Spanish was awful in that. I did not buy him as a Spanish, as a
Your Spanish
freaking
is awful.
conquistador person
Your
or whatever. So it's
Spanish
just like,
is awful.
yeah, it is.
The
but-
Rock can play any race, any tree, any whatever Scarlett Johansson is in.
The
Rock can double.
He's
Rock
the
can
Scarlett
play.
Johansson of
Yeah,
males.
that's right.
I want
That's
to see him
right.
play Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That'd be fun.
You
So
wanna see
directed by
what-
Jaime
what was
Collet
it?
Serra.
Or what if
who-
hold on, I'm gonna interrupt you. What if Charlize Theron in Fast and Furious, she's like, I didn't realize that you had a Celtic strain, and she just looks at The Rock, or your family had a Celtic strain, where the fuck the line was.
Such
So
a
he
weird.
basically-
Such a weird. I think it was Nordic.
Nordic strain, that's it.
All right.
Of all the shit they have to justify in a movie, they're like, brother's a white guy. We need a line. We need a line to somebody explain that. Jaime Collet Serra is the director of this film. He also directed Jungle Cruise, which is better than fine, I think.
Yeah, I would not poo-poo anyone who says I love that movie, but
Let me tell you though, if you were expecting the quality of Jungle Cruise within Black Adam, you would be sorely mistaken unless you're Danny. Man, this is a rough one. So Danny and I were the ones that saw it from the podcast, and Danny, you go ahead and go first. You light it
Sure.
up.
Well, let's just put a little bit of
Gonna set the scene.
set the scene, a little preamble. I was not going into this movie expecting that much. So I think my expectations being a little bit lower. I wasn't expecting to hate it, but I wasn't expecting too much from it. But I actually, when it started and all the way through, with exception, we'll talk spoilers and stuff in a bit more detail, right, Jonesy, in a little bit while?
Yes.
You want me to just give a brief outline? So I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I found it fun. I found the jokes entertaining. I enjoyed it a lot more than Thor, Love and Thunder, that's for sure. That film just pissed me off with its jokes. In this one, it kind of made sense and I was enjoying it. The action was good. Some of it was iffy, some of it was great, but a majority of it I enjoyed. It seemed to have some sort of coherent story all the way through, which I didn't think it was going to have. The special effects mostly were great, but then there was some dodgy.
Really?
Who's the main bad guy in Justice League, Jonesy, at the end?
At the end of Justice
League.
Steppenwolf.
No, not
Do you
Dark
remember
Side.
Steppenwolf? Do you remember the Steppenwolf special effects where it was all
from the original
bit...
Whedon?
Yeah, so towards the end, I don't want to give spoilers, towards the end, it went that kind of quality, but I was just enjoying the film. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I was willing to overlook some of the choices of story, choices of special effects stuff, and choices of fight scenes and how it's shot, and the choices of special effects. But overall, Jonesy, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time at the movies. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. And the best thing for me was I didn't think it was the Rock show or the Dwayne Johnson show.
Oh.
I was
Why is that a
thinking it was
bad
going to
thing?
be. Well, no, not. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking it was going to be all of him and his his range of acting, should we say? But I was pleased that it wasn't. Absolutely wasn't. It was not his show. It was a movie that had him in it. But the Hawkman had, I reckon, more lines of dialogue and, if not, fairly equal amount of screen time. So I enjoyed that fact. There was some issues, and no doubt we'll discuss.
Hawkman's lines of dialogue in that film were mostly like, as he's getting the shit kicked out of him.
No, they weren't. Don't be talking shit just because you're tired. Come on.
Are you saying he wasn't just like getting his ass handed to him by Black Adam?
Well, he was, and I found that particularly enjoyable. But he was getting his ass handed.
I have a non-spoiler question, and it was my concern based on the trailer. Does he have any charisma?
Let me do my thing.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's
Hawkman have charisma.
No, I was going to ask
yes,
if
I think he did.
Charisma to this movie.
So that's, I guess, part of my problem with this film is I felt like The Rock was wasted. The Rock is, pun intended, one of the most electrifying men in entertainment, right? Like, he has the charisma just like oozing off of him, and they don't utilize that really in this film. He is fairly one note, which is, I think, a shame. He comes off more like Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2. And for this particular film, that didn't work for me.
But do you not think that was part of his growth, though, Jonesy? Sorry, but do you not think, because as the film went on, that did change, and I think in the future films that will be more. But I agree, it was a restrained Rock, but I kind of felt that was suitable for this particular character in the story that I saw in the film.
It didn't work.
Nothing
about it didn't work
Black
for me.
Adam.
I get why they did it. It didn't work for me. Overall, this film felt like a relic to me. This felt like a movie that The Rock would have made immediately after The Mummy or The Scorpion King, in terms of plotting and action and even special effects in some respect. Yeah. Like, it feels like something from the early 2000s. And I don't disagree with it. Like, there are things I really liked about this movie. I felt like as I watched it, there was a good film in here. I liked the Justice Society. I liked the family that surrounded him. It just felt very clunky and old-timey.
It felt like this, didn't it, Jones? It felt like this ups and downs of quality, not quality from the special effects. Some of it was really good, and then some of it was shaky. Then they had some character stuff that was great fun, and then it kind of dissipated. It's almost like it was being directed by 2 or 3 different people at different times. It was wishy-washy. But I really
there were some things plot-wise that just didn't make any sense. Like, for example, without getting too much in this. Yeah, we can get into spoilers in a sec. I want to give Nick a chance to answer his question or ask his question. But before we get into spoilers, Danny, would you recommend this film?
Yes.
Okay. I have to qualify my recommendation. I would recommend this only for the most ardent of Rock supporters. But I say that having already said that I felt like this was devoid of a lot of what people do like about The Rock. So that would
DC
be my caveat.
fans. DC fans, I guess you recommend, because, or is it on the lower end of DC? Is it the higher end of DC? Is it like the middle?
I don't know what DC fans want. I always get confused about what they in general. I mean, we shouldn't put everyone in one bag, but I'm not really sure what it is they're after. Because again, it's so tempting not to go in spoilers, but there was certainly the feel and look over certain scenes, Jones. You'll know these that were stolen out of a Marvel film, and then one that was stolen out of 300. It was almost like it was a Zack Snyder homage.
That was a better question.
I think
with the Snyder bot,
DC fans generally would like this film, and the reason why I think that is because one of the frustrating things I think up to this point about DC films is that you've never been able to get out of kind of this myopic view. It's just these characters. It's just like this individual story. And here in this movie, you're introduced to Atom Smasher and Hawkman and Dr. Fate and Black. You get a lot within the course of this film. So if you're someone that likes this stuff and likes this world, and Intergang as well, and so you get like substance of stuff that it felt like the DCEU was just stuck and just spinning its wheels in place. And so I felt like this at least moved the world itself forward.
Expanded it a bit. Go ahead.
Snyder fans, would they be like, this is not part of the Snyderverse, or would they? Be more accepting of like the suit? All the recent films, they're like, none of these feel like a Snyder movie, even like Wonder Woman. It depends
on, and so this is where I would hesitate to say I'm not entirely sure what they want. Okay, and so we can get into spoilers about this particular part. There is a debate that happens where they're talking about whether or not people or heroes specifically should or shouldn't kill. And they beat you over the head with it, and it's fucking aggravating. Like, it comes up again and again and again, and it doesn't play well. And what is frustrating to me about this as a plot line is ultimately it feels like the answer is like, yeah, they just need to be able to kill. And it's weird about that because, one, it's strange to me that Hawkman is like berating him about, we don't kill, heroes don't kill. But he's the abnormal one in this universe. Superman has killed, Batman kills. The folks that we have seen on screen kill. And so it's a very strange debate to me to have.
But I mean, they have a whole Justice Society of America that's been around for a while, presumably, right? So they're probably thinking more about that than anything else.
Then it should have been, we as the Justice Society don't kill. Like, that's our thing. Yeah. But that's not the way it's presented. It is heroes don't kill.
Yeah.
And I
to be fair, people don't think of Batman as a hero, really, kind of. So that Superman, he killed one dude. Superman killed one dude.
I think the way that they're presented in the world is not like that. So all of the Jim Lee style Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman comics, that style of comic book, the kid in the film has posters like that all over his wall. And so they are presented as heroes.
Yep.
So the film is contradictory and maybe I can't tell if it's intentional or not.
I think certain parts of it was intentional, Jonesy. I think they were trying to bridge that gap, try to connect the fans of. I know, not saying did a good job. I just think that that's what they were trying to do, and I don't think they landed that particular message. I think the underlying strong messages that they were trying to get across didn't land very well, which is why I still feel that it's very bitty all the way through, from the messages to the SFX. Go ahead, buddy.
Ultimately, here's what's frustrating to me about that. I got hold on a sec. Come here. What's up?
There's a small person in the house.
Yeah.
Oh wow, look at that.
Oh.
So ultimately, one of the things that really bothered me about it was I felt like the film was trying to say something about violence, and I thought that it was trying to say something about what heroes do and don't do in terms of global stability. And that was frustrating to me because Hawkman didn't have an answer for any of the characters when it came to what was happening in their country, because this is a country that has been invaded and taken over multiple times. And it seems like the film ultimately says like, well, not murder, killing is the answer, right? Because that's ultimately where it ends up. And I think that that's frustrating because I felt like they were trying to say something broader and they just failed.
And there was an opportunity there, wasn't there? There was that great scene where she did say, basically, where the hell were you guys when we actually needed you? And like you say, he didn't have an answer. But that's why I feel that all those important messages that it felt like it wanted to address, it failed at addressing them. Yep. It kind of didn't it went to the line, but failed to deliver on that promise. And it did that quite a bit with those messages. I totally agree with that. That's why I don't think it's a perfect film. But it was frustrating, things like that. What was the message it was trying to get across? It seemed to be not quite sure. But I do feel that it was trying to join the general DC fans that like Superman and Batman and the Snyder fans. There was so much reference and so much, like you referenced, the Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Flash. There was even an Aquaman poster in there as well. Yeah. Were those, should we say, the softer side of those, the heroes? These are heroes. But at the same time, there were uses of slow motion and scenes that were very reminiscent of Zack Snyder. 300. There was a lot of it that was dark, but I was pleased with how colorful it actually was sometimes as well, Jonesy. They didn't lean into the darkness too much, particularly when the Justice Society was on. The costumes and stuff were bright. It was shot during daylight. It was bright. It was colorful. Yeah. It was fun. So I think they were trying to bridge that gap. I hope that it works, because as much as I don't hate the Zack Snyder films, we shouldn't hate on them as much as that it can be done, but nor should we go, right, that's the only universe we can have. I don't think that's true. I think this opens it up quite nicely. There's a better film in there, absolutely 100%, but I enjoyed it.
Release or whatever cut. Whoever the director's name is again.
Yeah, I do think there are things that are enjoyable about this movie. I liked, but it's weird. Some of the things I liked, but I also felt like, oh, you just took this from another film. So I have to pull up his name. The reason I like this thing is because it's from something else. So we get the interactions between Black Adam and I'm blanking on the kid's name. So there's a boy in this film that is carbon copy the handicapped kid from Shazam, exact same character. And so he's like the super fanboy, right? Where he's like, what are your powers? Can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, okay, you can fly, you can do that. And so it comes off very much the same. It's like, oh, I like this. Oh, wait, I know why I like this, because I liked it in that other movie.
To be fair, it's not because you liked it in the other movie. You liked it because it's actually a good trope, but it just happened to have also been in another movie.
There's a Shazam adjacent movie.
It's like you didn't look at it and be like, oh, well, I liked it because it was in Shazam. You liked it because it worked in Shazam because it works as a trope.
So I would say that it is a little, it's funny. The trope to me is the Terminator 2 trope. That is the thing that I like about it. It's the boy in his killing machine or the boy in his Iron Giant, where he kind of fanboys out about this uber powerful thing or person that he has. And the reason why I say Shazam is because it's the same. It's the power set from the same character, trope. Right? He's got, well, it is a trope, but it is carbon copy lifted from the same movie, the same, which is weird because they never mention Shazam, the character, in this. I thought that was super strange.
I think it's because The Rock's pushing for that Superman.
I mean, maybe, but it's weird.
He's kind of dismissing Shazam. He's like, I'd rather fight Superman than fight.
It's weird to bring up, not Superman. They bring up the Wizard. They talk about some of those demons. Like they bring up the general idea, but there's just like no conversation.
With the fact that there are posters of all the other characters that we know are in this, I think we know at the moment in this universe, that the actual guy Shazam wasn't mentioned, and they even need Black Adam. I mean, spoilers, Jones, are we going in? They even need Black
go
Adam. They even need Black Adam to say Shazam to do his heroic things, to save the world, kind of thing. And so they even need to say his name. So they must know the name, and they must know this guy that had this big fight in this city not long ago that Superman met.
Hey, how about we call him to see if he can help?
Yeah, because he seems to have some sort of link. He wasn't named in that movie. The Shazam is completely separate from Shazam, the character, him having to say Shazam.
What about that guy who has the same powers as me from the same wizard?
I get it. Hold on.
I feel like you have to see the movie to get it, but it's referenced enough that I feel like you would be like, it is weird that it doesn't come up. The fact that they even show the fact that Djimon Hounsou is even in the film, and he is in the film. It's like.
And the Justice Society knows a lot of the back history and stuff that's being kept secret from everybody else. So they must know some other stuff.
And they are no match for Black Adam. That's the weird thing, right? So at some point, and so let's get into this, which I love. They never consider calling him, which seems strange to me because at no point, this is almost like a Suicide Squad type thing. Like as you watch them, you're like, there's no way that you all could possibly take this person down. Like not a chance that you could take down Black Adam. And I get the part of it is probably that this is their first encounter with him.
And we have to try.
After seeing the symbol on his chest and knowing that that's the catchphrase and knowing anything like, all right, maybe let's call that other dude with the lightning powers and see what's what.
And there's no way Amanda Waller doesn't know about Shazam character, right? Even if she doesn't know his name, there's a meta-human that's doing all this shit, and we know about it, and we know where
just look at them. Like, oh, you guys have the same lightning bolt on your chest. And so this is the other big spoiler. So we've already known that Henry Cavill is going to be in this film, and it was kind of weird to me because, full disclosure, this is probably the most excited I've ever been to see a white man grace the screen, right? Like, I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I make no bones about it. And I get really upset about the way that DC has treated him and a bunch of those other folks like Ray Fisher from the Evers. They've done nothing wrong. And so it was confusing to me that Waller threatened Black Adam at the end of the film saying, don't you dare leave Kahndaq, otherwise we're going to put you in your place. And he says, there's nobody on this planet that can stop me. She said, well, I'll call in a favor and have someone stop you. And then Superman shows up. And he's like, we need to talk. I was like, wait, why would Superman work with help Amanda Waller? Like, she put the Suicide Squad together to kill him. And this is kind of the disjointed nature of the DCEU, where there's no something happened. Something obviously happened to change the nature of their relationship. And we never got or understood that or why.
I was confused exactly by that same thing as well. As a hold on, how come he's working for her or with her now? Or does he maybe it's the enemy of my enemy kind of thing, and he was thinking, well, Black Adam is a threat. But also he's been off planet. Is that what she's saying? Because they references someone not on the planet.
Sakaar looking for his
he's an alien. He's an alien.
Yeah, but she said not. She said not on this planet at the moment, meaning that Superman was off world.
I think she said not from this planet.
Marvel. See,
I think she was referencing the fact that he's on this. And that part's not in the scene. I thought it was there's no one on this planet that can stop me, and I think she said there's someone not from this planet that can stop. I thought it was that was the contrast. I thought
they both said no. They both said the same thing. I'm pretty sure they both said not on this planet. Now that's splitting hairs a little bit, right? Not on this planet, but I always thought that Superman would be on the planet permanently. Green Lantern wouldn't be necessarily, but for example, if that's who they're referencing, but Superman would be on the planet all the time. But the fact that he was there immediately as well, I know he can fly speed of light kind of shit, whatever speed he can fly, but it was almost like she said, don't leave Wakanda or whatever, whatever it was. That's it. That's what I said. At least once in there, I said that word. But he was almost like, but she said, don't leave. And he said, well, try and stop me. But he hadn't actually left yet. So already Superman's gone down there ready to have a chat with him, etc. I did enjoy that scene, though. I did like seeing him. And
I did not as much as I didn't like the music. So they used the OG Superman music. Not a fan.
Like
they did the little curl in the front of his head. I was like, no, doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. That's not him.
Trying to.
That sums up the movie, don't you think, Jonesy? Don't you think that sums it up, though? In there is great ideas, and generally it's a lot of fun, but there are things that could have been done a lot better.
It sounds to me like a pretty standard Dwayne The Rock Johnson joint. Someone who would go and watch San Andreas or go and watch Rampage and kind of see some middling action movie, which is, it's fun, but not amazing. That's kind of what I'm expecting out of it.
You'll get that and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, but his other movies, the reason I like The Rock is he is charming normally. That was my biggest fear watching the trailer. Was it's like is a Rock that's being like, I'm a badass, going to be interesting to watch. Like, I like The Rock who's making jokes with Kevin Hart and like.
It's his interactions with the kid that will bring that out. Okay. So the kid is basically, again, Terminator 2 troping him, where he's like, hey, you got to have a catchphrase. And he's trying to teach him how and when to use the catchphrase and like how and when to kill people.
And it is funny. It is fun.
Yeah, I think that was genuinely funny. And you get this going back into Terminator. It very much is this is his father figure, and you get to see those interactions through that lens, and I did like that. I thought that was fun. I liked his relationship with the boy. And speaking of boys, I liked the backstory that they gave us for how he got his powers. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I actually thought that should have been the movie. I liked what happened in Ancient Kahndaq and the story of how this kid gets these powers, and then The Rock is saved by his son, and then the son dies. Like, I felt like that story had more emotional heft than what we got. The idea that this son is killed saving his father, and then his father inherits the powers. There was something about watching those scenes that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm more interested to watch it after hearing you guys talk about it. I mean, it looked cool. I like the idea of the Justice Society, based on the trailer, even though the trailer is half that and half like this looks like Man of Steel. This was like Shazam. The flying just is so DC. But yeah, then the reviews, I was like, no way I see it until like it's free. But if I had money right now, and I'll have money soon, I finally work 40 hours a week, I would see this in theaters based on your guys' comments. The weak points and the strong points sound. Yeah, I really want to see Justice Society of America mostly, and the fact that Danny brings up that they might have more screen time than The Rock, even than Black Adam, makes me excited.
So they are the X-Men team of this film, and they are fun to watch. I liked Atom Smasher. I liked Cyclone in particular. The thing that I loved about Atom Smasher was like, I felt like they went to the Peter Parker store and they were like, that one. And this kid has very strong Peter Parker energy coming off of him. And so his interactions with Hawkman are very much Tony Stark and Peter Parker / Spider-Man, where he's like, where Atom Smasher, like, this is his first superhero thing, and he starts fucking up. And Hawkman is like me and you, kid. He's like, me and you, kid. We're gonna fucking fight. Like, because you were fucking up. I really enjoyed that stuff. I thought as a leader, Hawkman was a lot of fun. I was really invested in his relationship with Dr. Fate. And there are things that they did in this movie. Again, like I said, you can see where there was a really good movie in here. And they just didn't assemble the jigsaw well enough for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I love those. Like I know nothing about it. Yeah, I know nothing about the Justice Society. So some guys are going to tell me that they did all this wrong with these characters. But for me, my first introduction was those characters in this film, and I thought the actors that they chose to play them really well. I haven't seen Pierce Brosnan in a movie where he's looked like he's been quite so invested in the character, even though it's a relatively small character compared to the others. But he actually looked like he was enjoying it and took it seriously, and I think that added value to it. And I enjoyed all those interactions too. There's one particular scene where Atom Smasher is fucking up, and he does that one, Jonesy, when he actually knocks Hawkman out of the sky. And that was laugh out loud funny. I laughed out loud a lot more in this film than I did with Thor and Love and Thunder. I did smile and laugh in Love and Thunder, but this one I thoroughly enjoyed and I would happily watch it again. Whereas Love and Thunder, I watched it twice and the second time was begrudgingly. And
I watched Love and Thunder again and I liked it more.
I liked it more the second
go
time.
Hike a mountain.
Yeah, it was actually this really interesting. I'm curious what you thought about this, Danny. There was a fun reference for me. So one of the lines that the kid wanted him to use was tell them that the man in black sent you. That was like his, I've killed you tagline. And in the film, they're watching another film. They're watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And they're doing the scene with Clint Eastwood. What I loved about that was from Stephen King's Gunslinger books, the man in black is the main bad character from that. So I love, like, when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, did they do that on purpose? I just really like that as a thing.
I think they did. And again, this is one of those which we've said, or I've said many times now, that getting good stuff right, but not following through all the time, that peaks and troughs all the time of great stuff and great stuff. That was one of those moments. And that scene where the music starts playing in the background, and even if you notice right at the end of it, he's even got his finger pointed like it was a gun when he's zapping them with lightning, because he does the whole 6-shooter thing, Nick, the whole standoff, who draws first. And of course he draws and shoots at lightning speed.
I felt like
and
it came too soon. It happened too soon. I felt like that should have been a thing that happened in the beginning of the movie, and then towards the end we get the payoff of that moment. Like, I felt like that would have been, in terms of pacing.
It was almost it's almost like the audience. We need to have the punchline to that gag quickly, or the audience will forget what it references. I get that, but I still enjoyed it when it happened. I still thought it was fun. It's just like, okay, yeah, that could have gone there, but hey, that was fun.
So here's probably the last set of questions that I have for you before we move on. So the main bad guy in this film ends up being Sadak, who is this demon character. I kind of lost interest when he showed up because he's primarily a CGI character, and not a particularly good one either.
Is Steppenwolf a Doomsday type character you were talking about?
But he's worth, and I think that Steppenwolf and Darkseid and Thanos, they have weight and texture to them. This felt like, again, this is, Green Lantern or some other CGI character from that era. You're just like, you don't fit in this world, and it's hard for me to be invested in this. And I think if they had gone practical with this, it would have done a much better job for me of keeping me invested in this fight.
They did with Black Adam, right? If Black Adam's suit was if they'd have just the Black Adam, I guess I see why they felt like they needed to, because I don't know, again, whether they're trying to be comic book accurate with this character. I had no idea who it was, so they could have done anything personally. But is it, Jonesy, is it because they tried to be like the comic book with this particular demon? I don't know anything about this lore or not, but I totally agree. That's what took me out of it as well. It's like, oh, you've gone shitty Steppenwolf special effects now. Now I'm enjoying it because of the interaction with the other characters and the payoff with Dr. Fate, etc. But you yourself, Mr. Steppenwolf, man, you suck a little bit. Yeah, and that's all I call him from now. It's like it's Black Adam Steppenwolf. The Steppenwolf man. And I agree, totally agree. Practical, the same effects that they did with The Rock would have been okay. Now it's got weight and value. Totally agree. And that's that down trough. There's that trough at the end where they had some highs before that with Dr. Fate and his revelations and stuff. So I agree.
Also, what I could have done without in this film was Kanye West. So they have this moment where they play a Kanye West song, Power. And I'm just like, man, I don't need to hear that right now.
I had no freaking idea what you're talking about, or when that was, or who that is, or whatever.
When was
that? A quick poll.
It's the scene where it's the or just use the beat, right? Like, we all know the beat. I don't need to hear Kanye West. It's the scene, Danny, when they're like, all right, we're gonna sneak in this room. It's almost like straight out of She-Hulk. We're gonna sneak in here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go room by room, and somebody's like, or we could just do that. And then they look outside the window, and Black Adam is just like destroying everyone outside the room. And that's the song that's playing like while he's killing everyone. So
that even feels very 90s. I mean, or early 2000s. Like
yes,
using a song like that for a scene like that. So what are you guys' letter grades, unless you have more questions, Jonesy?
I'd give it a C+.
Okay. Danny?
Oh.
He's struggling. He's struggling.
Because he doesn't want to give a C+, but he's going to.
No, I don't. But that's the thing. Like, how can I be disagreeing with Jonesy about how much we like this film, and yet it's not a B film, even a B minus?
Because it's not. That's the thing. It's okay.
It's not. But damn it, I did enjoy it a lot more than you. But yes, screw it. It's a solid C plus. It's a capital C with a big C.
Here's what like it's related to your guys' expectations.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not for me. It's not expectations for me. I didn't hate it, but it's not of the quality of fuck Jammer. It's not of the quality of Jungle Cruise to me. It is, it's.
No.
I'll probably end up watching it again. Maybe I really did enjoy the JSA a lot. I would actually like to see a standalone JSA movie.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say, sorry, I was going to say just bravo to you guys for reviewing and grading a movie like you're supposed to, and not just saying something is either an A because you enjoyed it, or a D or F because you didn't enjoy it. There's a lot of that goes on these days where things are just graded on what you like versus saying, hey, I like this, but it's trash, or I like this, but it's mediocre made graphics. So bravo to you guys on that.
I feel attacked him complimenting YouTube on something that I do all the time.
Hit dogs holler. I'm just saying.
I've been watching it. I've been listening to you on Twitter, Carl. I got you. But yeah, I'd go with you, Jonesy. C plus. I'd recommend it. Yes. I'd happily watch it again, and it's a solid.
I feel
C+.
like I've won this discussion.
No, you haven't. Go for it,
so here's what is interesting about this film, and we're going to transition into some of the news that's come out this week. There has been yet another shakeup at DC with executives kind of grappling for power, as well as executives leaving.
Power.
Oh God, fuck you! God damn it. So Walter Hamada, who is or was the head honcho in charge of the DC films, for lack of a term, he has been ousted, so much so that he hasn't been coming to creative meetings for quite a while. They say that the writing was on the wall for him, and which is interesting, right? Because some of the more recent things that he has done, like the Batman, were successful, as well as, like, even though Black Adam is doing poorly critically, it's still projected to make $135 million this weekend, which is pretty good. So it's very interesting to see this guy kind of get pushed out after he's had Aquaman, which, again, say what you will about the critics, $1.1 billion. Got the Joker, $1 billion.
I liked Aquaman too. I thought it was a pretty good DC film.
Yeah. And so he hasn't done poorly, but keep in mind, that you got your Wonder Woman 84s in there and all this other stuff.
Anything with Ben Affleck Batman.
It sounds like Zaslav just is not having it. He just wants to clean house generally. And it's interesting that The Rock has been talking about how this film would change the power structures of the DC universe.
Forever.
And he had so much juice within making this film that he blamed the old guard at DC for not engaging Cavill again, and he is the one that's responsible for bringing him back. Danny, a question I have for you is, what do you think the direction of the DCEU is going to go now, given what we said about, like, the inclusion of Intergang and the JSA, and Superman is back now? What do you think all of this is about what they're doing?
Yeah, I'm seeing, I think from my perspective, what I'm seeing, and I'm also hoping this is the case as well, is that they're going a more broader scope, like you were alluding to earlier, where it was not just Batman and Superman, not that Justice League thing, but the whole range of the world, the planet, the universe, for want of a better word, but the world of superheroes in the DC world. But also I get the feeling that they're going to be happier going with a more lighter, colorful, fun tone rather than going too dark with it. I'm okay with the darkness of, let's say,
the Batman needs it.
The Batman's films, but I think I get the feeling that they're broadening their scope, they're going to use their catalog of characters more and go a little bit lighter in tone, not to try and match Marvel, but just realize that they can do both if they do it well. And I think this movie, although not perfect, the one we were just talking about, is showing us that it can be done, just needs a little bit more thought into the process. But that's what I see. I see a lighter, colorful, more fun approach to a DC universe or DC world with more characters.
JSA is in this. Do you think they're going to do more of a Marvel approach as being like, let's pull characters from the comics that people don't instantly know?
I can't tell if that was the rationale for it.
I think they might move that way in the future and be like, let's find our Guardians, or it's not like Harley Quinn every time or Superman every time.
They probably made this with an eye towards another franchise, right? Like, how do we jumpstart another series of films? And within this, you got Black Adam, a sequel to Black Adam. You got JSA, potential sequel to JSA, and then you're introduced to Superman at the end of that. So not only within the course of this, you get a movie about Black Adam, but they're, like Danny said, the broadness of trying to include everything. And they introduce, I think the introduction of Inner Gang, I keep saying it, it's kind of a big deal, right? They hadn't really mentioned them before in this universe. I don't know what that is, and now they are a gang that uses high tech tools to their ends, and they are able to stand up significantly to lots of heroes within the universe. And so you're introduced to these folks as villains, and so we don't really see who their hierarchy are.
Yeah, they use high tech, but they use terrible actors with English accents.
So one of the reviews I read, and this actually sounds exactly what you guys were talking about, is like, it feels like a phase 1 or a phase 2 Marvel movie, where it's trying to do a lot of setting up while trying to give you a story that stands on its own.
Yeah, it's accurate.
I know we're kind of backtracking when we should be forward tracking into the Hamada news, but
that's how I see it, Jonesy. That's how I see this DC universe, and I, for one, would be happy with that. If this is a start, then I'm happy to see, as long as they kind of continue on this path and improve things, then I'm happy to see that if that's the case.
Yeah. In addition to what happened with Hamada, we've also got James Gunn returning to Warner Brothers. So he has pitched new potential films for DC, as well as a new Superman film. So we've got Man of Steel 2 in the works. And we also have Matt Reeves. He's not just doing the sequel to the Batman. He's working on some additional films based on villains.
I don't like that. I think Kyle,
you don't like that
way about that. I don't know.
What did I think? What? Huh?
No, I mean, just, you're always against like the villain films because they try to redeem them to an extent.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't need to see I mean, it'll be cool to see a Penguin origin show, but like, I don't need to see a movie about. Well, here's my biggest fear: is one of those movies is another movie that's just called Joker. They'll call it The Joker and set it in the Batman universe.
I'll say,
I mean, they're very interesting villains to mine. It's just like it would be kind of cool to see a Hugo Strange movie. Like, he's almost a villain I'd pick to lead a movie. Because he can kind of, I don't know, his antagonists kind of be the people in Arkham or vice versa.
I just want people in Hollywood, when you're looking at making something about bad guys, about villains, look at The Sopranos. That's a golden key for the basic of it, of how you can tell a story involving a vile, murderous, cheating piece of crap and still keep the audience engaged. You don't need to make Tony wasn't sympathetic. He really wasn't, and yet people tuned in week after week to see Tony doing awful things. And you can do that still, and you can even do it without making it rated R. They don't all have to have the just the tragic ends justifying the means thing. That's all.
I guess.
So here's a question for you about that. The thing that made Tony sympathetic, though, in some respect, was seeing him get therapy and seeing him open up and things of that nature. So in the context of a superhero film or a villain film, because I think that did make him more like, well, how do you let a villain be a villain within that same context?
Well, I don't think, at least I didn't necessarily have sympathy with him. It made him relatable in that he was still human, and that's what makes you turn in week after week. You can see how life can affect someone like that, and getting those inner workings through the therapy sessions. He was still a pig. He was a pig at episode 1. He's a pig at the end of the episode. He was just a slightly cleaner pig, one that had a little bit more appreciation for his family, his blood family, not the family. But yeah, I think that's the key there, and I don't know exactly if that will translate well into superhero movies, but I do know that having them somehow be a positive protagonist in their projects is not it's no.
Well, I would almost even say this, because in the Batman story about him building out the Batman universe, they say they definitely reference villain films are part of it. Or is that more of an assumption? Because like I would watch a Jeffrey Wright, Jim Gordon film with very little Batman in it. I think that'd be way more interesting to me than like seeing.
Yeah, I feel like
Mr.
I've
Freeze
seen a couple
movie.
of episodes of Gotham, and
That's
Batman
a poorly done
adjacent
version of
stuff,
that, though.
But Batman adjacent stuff just doesn't work for me. You know what? It's possible, because ultimately it could just be a police procedural just set in that world.
Yeah, Seven,
which
is already very similar to the Batman, actually.
So I think that would be an interesting way to do it. But
like they mentioned Mr. Pig, I think, in the article, or at least
Professor
I saw
Pig,
someone
yes.
be like, that's one of the people I'd like to see. Imagine a serial killer movie where it's not Batman looking for Mr. Pig. It's Gordon and like Bullock.
and a bunch of cops, red shirt cops.
Yeah.
On the villain thing, let me posit this to you guys. Do you see the issues that Sony runs into with their Venom and Morbius films, and the apparent issues for Craven? Do you think that's a sign, and that this might not be a good idea on their side, or do you trust Reeves to do better?
It's hard to parse the things that you said from the fact that it is Sony that's doing it.
Yeah, I do put more faith in Reeves than Sony.
Yeah, that's why I asked it that way.
It's hard. It's hard to pull those things apart. And so, to Nick's point, I think Matt Reeves has a better track record generally, and so I would be more likely to trust his take,
because it is
based on the.
It is interesting on how those are the two biggest, greatest rogues galleries in comics: Batman and Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
And there's so much depth there, and so much importance, but they both sides have one thing in common: their respective protagonists. The villains are who they are and why they are so good, because of their individual interactions and things with the Bat or with Spidey. And I'm always cautious of taking that element out, no matter what. But that doesn't mean that they can't be good. But what do you think about that? Without having much to do with the Bat, or do you have to work him in somehow more?
I don't see why. I was just thinking, like, Heart of Ice, that would be the most effective villain story I think they could tell, because Mr. Freeze is very sympathetic. And I almost think you do it like James Cameron was originally going to do Spider-Man, where it was from Doc Ock's perspective. So he was the protagonist and Spider-Man was the antagonist. I think you could still work Batman into your third act. If you're seeing it from Mr. Freeze's perspective, he's just trying to save his wife, and Batman shows up as a force that's trying to stop him. And you still have Battinson in there. He just has far less days on set.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea, I guess, in general, of every, like, I just the Penguin thing sounds interesting, but just give me 3 Batman movies. It doesn't need to be an entire universe. Like, just give me 3 movies: the Batman 2, the Batman 3. Like I don't need to see more in the world past I mean, because what we're gonna get an Alfred prequel next in this franchise. I'm thinking of stuff we already have and how it can apply. Like an Andy Serkis Alfred prequel would be way more interesting than the show Pennyworth, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's like,
I mean,
it feels like
so
Sony.
there's that great meme about the farmer going back to the cow and the farmer's DC. He's got like pails and pails of pails, and you've got this emaciated cow, and that's Batman, where the DC universe is just like milking the shit out of this cow to the point where it's just ruined. It's
I guess it's still the safest.
It's still the safest, and
like
the
Sony and
shitty
Spider-Man.
thing is, you every once in a while you'll get the Batman, and then it's like, well, here I am again, drinking from the same teat, and enjoying it. So yeah,
Wasn't there
you guys
other
ready
news?
to move on?
Didn't they announce something else too? You mentioned James Gunn, the Batman
Yeah.
and Man of Steel 2 you mentioned, which I
Yeah.
saw a rumor that Christopher McQuarrie is who they're looking at for that. And I was like,
yeah, there isn't
now
a
that
lot.
he's done with Mission Impossible, I think he'd be a great choice.
I agree. I think he would be good. I couldn't even say. I could say I know what I want that film to be. I want there to be like a Brainiac. I want there to
That'd
be
be sweet.
no
more
I
Lex
would like
at
to
all.
see yeah, no, fuck that. I would like to see a villain that we haven't seen on screen before, and Brainiac fits that
Brainiac
bill.
would be great.
Yeah, someone who is mentally and physically imposing to Superman. So I would like that.
Cool.
Did we discuss?
See what
Did we
happens.
did we discuss what the movie is that James Gunn's working on? Possibly, potentially.
They don't
What are
know.
our thoughts?
So no idea what that could be at DC.
I would love that
Magic.
to be Lobo.
That's
Magic.
what I
to be Lobo.
knew you were gonna say that even
Quiet down,
before
Carl,
thinking
it's
that
gotta
it was
be
Danny.
Lobo.
Zatanna.
Danae
That is
killed
the movie
that.
for sure.
No,
That's
I'm
what
just
you
saying
want.
that's what I want.
Interesting, because
Oh.
they just canceled that show or this week. I thought I read too.
So
Or that's the
I
rumor is that
think
show is off the HBO Max slate.
if you're talking about a villain thing, and I know it wouldn't work because it's Matt Reeves, I think that James Gunn could do an excellent Jim Gordon series, because it would be a team of cops working to bring down a serial killer. So he would be able to get you quickly invested in this team of cops, and
Kill
then
half
as
of
they
them.
go after this, and then kill half of them, right? And then every time the serial killer gets one, you're like, oh no.
Maybe
So
I'm thinking too much about what James Gunn's done before, because he's known for his superhero teams, but for some reason, also tone wise, I think he could do a really cool Justice League Dark. I know that he's known for doing the team movies, like so maybe that's the only reason.
Fuck it. Just give him the Justice Society. Just give him the Justice
Oh,
Society.
that would actually. I would. I'm sure he's picking someone really. Give me a Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie from James Gunn. Boom.
That would work too.
That would work really well.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's
Team
probably
ups.
going to pick someone fairly obscure, which might help the universe. I mean, like
Lobo.
Guardians. He would handle Lobo well. I agree about that. He would be really good with Lobo. I know Warner Brothers has been working on Lobo forever, back before the DCU or even the Dark Knight. I read scripts for Lobo, and they all teamed him up with a little girl, and they had to find her family's treasure while other bounty hunters show up to kill her on Earth. You would not like that script,
Lobo
Andy.
down to pick a fight with Superman. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the comic season I want. Is when Lobo fights Superman.
It's just every
would be
movie
good.
versus Superman. Lobo v Superman. Black Adam v Superman.
Danny could be Lobo.
That's Lobo.
I got it.
No, I was just
Oh,
asking
shit.
who's his choice besides
who
himself
you want?
now apparently.
Yeah, I could do it.
It should have been Jason Momoa, but since he's off the board,
Dave Bautista. He's not in that universe yet, is he?
mm,
I'm just thinking of semi-charismatic big guys.
yeah, I think he
Momoa.
could do it. I think you're right. I think Batista would be a good second choice.
Yeah, because Momoa, like, he's kind of the Rock these days. When you guys were talking about Black Adam, I was like, Aquaman has all kinds of charisma. Like Momoa these days is like he started kind of wouldn't, but like he's got all that charisma going on in his action films, even the non-DC ones these days.
And it's funny.
Momoa's got the energy, though. He's got that. Sorry, Jones. He's got that energy. He's got that crazy, fun energy.
Hell yeah.
Batista can do comedy, but I think you just need that extra. high energy kind of comedy, a lot of physical comedy that Jason Momoa can do that I don't think Bautista could do, mixed with all the verbal comedy, etc. Because Lobo is he's a lot of fun, and he's crazy as well as mad as a stack of spaniels, but he also has a very wicked sense of humor and will do stuff for fun. And I get that mischievous sense of humor from Jason Momoa, not so much from Bautista, but he could do it. I just think it'd be a bit more work for him. And I think having someone like Jason Momoa as the lead, I think could help to actually get a film actually potentially being made, because that would be a draw. I think that would be enough to get it made. It's going to be a low budget if it's ever made, but anyway, don't get me too excited.
You're talking about an actor that's completely off the table because he is Aquaman.
Well, maybe we could have the Flashpoint's going to mess everything up, right? Apparently in the Flash film, we're going to have Flashpoint doing stuff. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Talking to
we'll see.
Cool. We spent a lot of time. I'm sorry I brought us back to DC when he was trying to get us off.
No, this kind of was the topic. So we had been moving around to what's going on with the executives and things like that. I do think, just to bring it back to that point before we move on, it is fascinating to me that in 2018, Hamada was pitched as the guy who could turn DC around. And he's had quite a few hits and he's done. So that's interesting.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta go. Go with a smile. You guys ready to move on?
Sure.
Yes,
that was some good DC talk. I learned a lot about Black Adam. Thanks, guys.
You know who's too old to play Lobo, but I think would be really fun is Ron Perlman.
Oh, I'm partially thinking that probably because of Hellboy, but yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So that'd be my pick.
CGI that.
How
about David Harbour?
Stop it, Nick.
No, he's already in the universe
all the
too.
Hellboy folks.
No, I just think of him now, especially after that Santa Claus trailer. But at the same time, he's also already been in the DCEU. He was like the guy who's like, what if Superman ripped the roof off the White House? Like, he's that character.
Yeah, but nobody.
Yeah, and you could easily remember that. They've reused actresses in Marvel, so I
think that's a good pick, though. I think that you could do it. Yeah,
it wasn't just because Hellboy, but it was partially thought of it because this just has that gruffness. I don't know. That Lobo should have.
And we know he has charisma. Like a sense of humor. Yeah, I agree.
Heard it here first, everyone.
I agree. So this is not a huge story. I'm just curious what you all think about this. As they were making She-Hulk, there was the potential for Edward Norton to come in and swap out. There were a couple of jokes that they had made throughout the course of She-Hulk about whether or not about the fact that Bruce Banner was a completely different person. And so what they had said was there was a lot of talk about the fact that the last time they were together as a different actor was playing the Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo made quite a few jokes about that. We did entertain the idea of swapping Mark out for Edward Norton, but that did not come to pass. Would you guys have wanted to see that at all?
That would have been for the whole show. It's like
I
would
just like,
because I picture that in the finale scene where everything's getting ridiculous, and she's like, "Wait!" I think that would fit
it is
the moment.
It is for the finale.
Yeah, I think that would fit in that moment, but maybe overcomplicate it for the more casual viewer who's checked in because it's a comedy starring a woman, not necessarily that super, like one of the least superhero based shows, especially with the finale kind of going off the rails and being like, wait, we're not doing a big action sequence here. Like, that's not what this show is. But I like the idea, but I'm fine that it didn't happen.
Okay. Danny, you're giving the big east-west on that? No.
Yeah, that's a big no for me. I wouldn't have. I mean, as much as I enjoyed that finale for all of its bonkersness and madness and strangeness, I think that would have been a little bit of a step too far. I don't think that was necessary. I think they made the right call. Yeah, I think it's good that was on the table, because clearly that pitch meeting in that table, they were throwing all sorts of ideas on that board, right? Everything was up there. Nothing was off the table. Let's have a freaking robot being Kevin Feige and all that. I mean, that sounds like a good idea. But I don't think that one. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of swapping one actor out for another, Harrison Ford has recently been confirmed that he will replace Thunderbolt Ross. He's taking over the role. Sorry?
I asked my cat if he sneezed. Sorry, it was weird.
So he's going to be taking over the role from William Hurt, who passed away earlier this year. And I can't tell when the first time we're going to see him. It looks like Captain America New World Order is going to be the film. So that's going to have him starring across from Anthony Mackie and Tim Blake Nelson and Carl Lumbly. So I think as a pick that this is a good pick. I think Harrison Ford is a fantastic actor. And I think he brings a lot of weight and gravitas to a film that, while I like Anthony Mackie, I felt that it would have been otherwise lacking. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with all these folks. The broader point that an issue that I would have with it is the thing that I've talked about up now, about a few points, is the kind of hypocrisy about recasting William Hurt's role so quickly after his death, while killing off T'Challa very quickly. I mean, so that's the thing. I don't give a fuck about that, and I feel like that is a bad. Well, I think that's a bad comparison.
Yeah,
I know that's an excuse, but I feel like it's a bad excuse because as you do that, you diminish William Hurt as an actor and his character, and it is also hypocritical. It doesn't make any sense. It defies logic because what you're saying, well, it's not an iconic role. It's okay. Well, then why do you need it so badly to continue in the universe if it's not iconic?
Because I used
so
to
that
say
logic doesn't track.
You could reference him but not have him on screen, but apparently he's more important than that. And I do need to come out right up front here and be like, I'm an asshole. When we were talking about the rumor, I was like, absolutely not. That would never fucking happen. Like, I was very strong. Like, I would never thought that would happen. I'm like, no way.
So I don't think that
ever
makes you an
MCU.
Asshole, though, because the thing about it is, I think there are a couple of reasons for it, right? After Star Wars, it felt like Harrison Ford was kind of done, isn't the word for it, but he did not seem particularly happy generally. And maybe it was just Star Wars specifically. So that's one. Two, I think given how adamant they were about not recasting T'Challa, and here are two men that both passed away from cancer, and they're just like, no, we're not going to recast. And it just does not seem like something that they would do based off of what they had previously said. So, past actions are generally a good indicator of future behavior. And because of that, I don't think that makes you an asshole. I was in the same boat.
Yeah. Well, even if they were going to recast him, I was just like, no way Harrison Ford would ever want it. Yeah. Like you kind of allude. But that's what's so weird about him. Not weird, but like everyone has their own tastes. He's like, kill me, kill me, kill me in every Star Wars movie. And then he cries when he's talking about how much he loves Indiana Jones. So it's like kind of a balance. I guess this is probably a case of a dump truck full of money. Or he just, maybe he is, and maybe he enjoyed Indiana Jones so much, which is also Disney, just like Star Wars. He's like, yeah, if you're giving me this smallish role, like just being the dick, I'll do that. Like, yeah, that's General Ross. He's the dick. But here's a question I have about it. Everyone's assuming now that he's definitely going to become Red Hulk. And they're going to put in, like, people have even photoshopped his face, Harrison Ford's face, on a Red Hulk body, similar to how Ruffalo looks, like where it's a combination of the two. Do you think we will get that? I hope we don't. I just have him pulling the strings behind the Thunderbolts and stuff. I don't need a Red Hulk.
I don't think you would cast him and not do it.
Really? And then, of course, Ford wouldn't be doing any of the even motion capture. You just put
but he would be doing. I think he would be doing the voice.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? He could be doing the facial features.
Yeah, I'm sure they would do that. Just put the just wear that camera thing on your face, but not.
Yep.
No motion, no like dancing around, or no Harrison Ford on the set just smashed.
Yeah.
Okay. Ford is like Ford is like 13, 14 years older than Hurt was the last time he played Ross.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hurt does have the line though where he's like, I threw up my back golfing or something.
And so what
Or had
bothers
attack
me
on
about
the-
that is what frustrates me about that is you already have an in-universe reason for why this character fucks off, right? Thunderbolt Ross dies because he's got a bad heart. He's just unhealthy dude. And so it's interesting to me that and then Val takes
his
over.
Wife takes
and
over,
that
or
we
daughter.
have named.
Sorry, I didn't realize I still had the mic on. I was talking to myself. I was like, I think it'll be that would be a way to work in Elizabeth, bring Betty back in, and I was going to bring that up later, but sorry, that is.
Or you could just say like,
Betsy?
hey, he was actually pulling the strings behind behind all of that stuff, and that they named the team after him. That's how that's why they're the Thunderbolts.
So maybe this could be
with Abomination.
I mean, maybe this could be a movie to kind of segue him out of the series anyway, to set that up.
Then why would you cast Harrison Ford?
Because it's Harrison fucking Ford.
I don't. Normally, I'd agree with you on any role. And
I don't think you could segue.
Marvel, but
if he's already going to be in Captain America, if he's already going to be on the Thunderbolts, it doesn't feel like you're segueing him out of the universe.
And that's what makes the most sense as
just because he's
Red
in 2
Hulk.
doesn't mean that you're not segueing him out. Who knows what they're setting him up for?
I definitely
franchise for.
I definitely think I actually agree that they will do Red Hulk, because I don't know why. I mean, obviously he's an important figure to have in a Captain America movie, because Captain America, Sokovia, even though that's gone, they kind of butt heads, and he's like, where's the red, white, and blue? But Thunderbolt Ross is not happy with him most of the time. But then at the same time, if your villain is Leader, a Gamma creation, then why wouldn't Thunderbolt turn to the Red Hulk by the end of the movie?
You need a Gamma to take down a Gamma.
Oh, you think he goes Red Hulk and helps take down Leader?
No, I'm just kidding. I just think it's weird to me that, again, so adamant about not recasting T'Challa, yet in the same year that this guy died, they've recast his role. They've recast William Hurt's role.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, there's a difference in terms of the magnitude.
You missed that part of the argument.
I already tried to bring up that part of the argument.
Oh, well, come on. There's a difference between.
So what I said was, no, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't.
Why not?
So you're saying
no one out there is sitting there. The freaking Thunderbolt Ross did not cause freaking cultural event to take place.
You can't tell me that Thunderbolt Ross is a character, is a side character, is not as important as T'Challa as a character, but also say like, no, but we need him that badly that we have to recast him to continue that story. What that tells me is that you find value in the story that Thunderbolt Ross was bringing to the table, so much so that you cast this mega actor. But when you talk about recasting T'Challa, it's like, no, we've taken the mantle and we've given it to Shuri. And it's like, that's
yet. You're making assumptions.
I am, but it still works. The mantle has been passed. The person that they've given to it is not T'Challa. And so that is my frustration. And it diminishes William Hurt's work. It diminishes him as an actor, and it actually brings him up as a character. And I feel like they painted themselves into a corner. I have to see the movie to see if they've actually painted themselves in a corner.
I think that's the caveat you've got to put on that, isn't it, Jonesy? If we don't actually know yet, even if this movie is Shuri, that we don't actually know that T'Challa's not there, not around, not still alive, for one of them.
Oh, he is definitely dead.
I agree with you, Jones, on everything. If that's the case, then I agree. Then that whole recasting thing, but we don't actually know yet. I think we're.
I mostly agree.
You know what's funny about that?
My
mom doesn't track any of this stuff, and we were talking about it, and so I showed her the trailer. She's like, "Wait, they killed him?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "They didn't have to kill him." I was like, "That's exactly my fucking point."
No, I agree with you, but at the same time, it's not difficult for me to track why you would recast.
But that
William
logic
Hurt
doesn't work.
And not. Wait, why would you recast him and then not T'Challa? Like, I don't like the fact that they did that, but for me, it's easy to be like, oh, I get why you would do this one and not that one.
Here's another. So one, I disagree with the logic. Because again, you're saying that Thunderbolt Ross's story is so important that we had to recast him. The other reason it doesn't work is,
I mean, another way of looking at, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, another way of looking at it, it's not that his role was so important that it needs to be recast. The way of looking at it is whoever plays him isn't nearly as important to the point where we can just recast him, and it's not going to hurt the franchise as much.
So again, going back to what my mom said, that doesn't mean that you have to kill him. What frustrates me about this whole T'Challa thing is it was too soon to recast him, but not too soon to kill him off.
Yeah.
That,
once again,
ultimately, that is my problem.
I agree with you, but at the same time, like I said, it's just about me. Like, I get why they recast Thunderbolt Ross. It's easy for me to see why they did that.
I don't.
It's easy. And it's also,
like I said, I feel like there's an in-universe
Hurt,
reason for why he dies.
William Hurt is great in the approximately probably 30 minutes of total screen time he plays the character. But I mean, like, he hasn't been...
You're forgetting about Incredible Hulk.
No, I'm not. I'm including Incredible Hulk.
It's definitely more than 30 minutes.
Come on, not that much. How many? He's in Civil War for what? 3.5 minutes, 7 minutes,
and Infinity
maybe?
War for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, Infinity War for 2 minutes. Black Widow for a minute 2 minutes. And a half. I mean, it's just not. It's pervasive, but it's not. It's not like he like went in there and like, oh, he made Thunderbolt Ross his. This is like no one else could play that. And I'm not sure you could say the same about.
But then my question. My question is, why do you need that?
I got this. 4 films. William Hurt has 18 minutes and 45 seconds of film time.
I told
Does that include Incredible
15
Hulk?
minutes. That was pretty. Yeah, he's not in that for very much.
I'm on IMDb looking at
it even includes the post-credit sequence.
MCU actors screen time.
So I mean, he's in that movie less than Hannibal Lecter is in Silence of the Lambs.
But it doesn't. Again, it is not screen time. It is not the magnitude of one character versus the other. What I'm mostly focusing on is the message that Marvel is sending and the value that they're placing on the roles that these characters have in their universe. As a character, T'Challa should probably have continued before Thunderbolt Ross.
I agree.
And I just think that their rationale as to why they did one versus the other is hypocritical.
Amen.
And it sends a bad message.
I do wonder how much of it has to do with sort of, this is a wrong term, but I'm going to use it incorrectly. So hopefully you understand my meaning. White saviorism almost, where it's just like, oh, we're a bunch of white execs. We understand this character meant a lot to the Black community, so we're gonna make this decision for them on whether or not what we think is important to them.
So,
in spite of what they may or may not want.
So I hear what you're saying, and I disagree, and this is why. So Lupita Nyong'o had a statement earlier. I think it was earlier this week, and she supported not recasting T'Challa. Not recasting him. And while I think that, so she's not a decision maker, however, I imagine she has some influence in there. And I also think that her thought process is indicative of the broader thought process from someone like Coogler, or there's another producer on this film who and they're all Black. And so she said, I want to find this quote.
I know Coogler was against having Black Panther die in the movie originally. I heard that. I forget where I heard that. I think I heard that somewhere.
Speculation. I'm kidding.
Let me pull that up.
Yeah. So yeah, she basically. I hate this. That's really annoying. So there's a quote where she basically said she understands what people are saying, but she does not have the time for people that engage in that kind of thought process. And I get it, but I think I would argue that her proximity to the character, just like mine, like you could say that about me, proximity to the character, my proximity to the character is probably my issue. Her proximity to the actor is her issue. So yeah.
I'm trying to find.
So looking for your quote, Jammer.
I'm looking for my thingy thing here.
So her quote is, I know there are all sorts of reasons why people want him to be recast, but I don't have the patience. I don't have the presence of mind, and I don't have the objectivity to argue with that. I don't. I'm very biased.
Interesting. Decent quote then.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like the way you worded it, where you have proximity to the character, and she worked with Chadwick on set.
Yeah.
Knew him as his friend.
Jammer, would you like to continue to look for that, or do you want to?
Yeah, give me in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Danny, I know that you're excited about having Harrison Ford enter this universe. Talk about why.
You're muted.
Sorry. It did give me a chance to gather my thoughts on this. I was with you, Jonesy. I love Harrison Ford. I think he's a great actor. I think he's going to bring some gravitas to the role. He's going to bring some gruff fun to it. My worry is that, it's how long is he going to be in this? What if they see him in the future?
18 minutes.
Yeah. But isn't it 2 years or something waiting for this film before it's even released? 3 years, the Captain America one.
Harrison Ford's going to die. And
that's what I'm thinking. He dies between the two movies they need him for. And they're like, well, we got to recast him again. No, Harrison Ford is too iconic as Thunderbolt Ross.
But I do think it's clever to hire someone of that importance and gravitas and name, because I do think it's going to add potential, should we say, value to the film or box office numbers to the film. Because I think so. I think knowing that he's in it, I think we'll get some people a little bit more excited, because, Captain America and Winter Soldier, the show, as I think we all found, was quite divisive amongst MCU. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I think it's one of the best. But I know
was it divisive?
I don't think everyone here at LRM rates it in their top 3.
Yeah, we don't fucking count.
That's true.
We hate
but
everything. We're a bunch of we're a bunch of stands. It's shit.
We're the only ones who like She-Hulk. Apparently, it seems like.
I like we're all on the same show.
Freaking hated WandaVision. So what do I know?
What's that? What's that echo sound in the background? Do you guys hear that?
No, I heard it once.
I think I heard it once. Oh, I actually did hear like an echo over the mic too, but I didn't know what he's saying. God damn it!
So really quick, I think it's possible I'm full of shit, so I want to make sure that I get that on the record that I couldn't find it.
Possible or probable?
Maybe I made it. I might even say it's probable because I couldn't find it. If we find it, I'll come back and amend it. But for now, we'll just say I was talking out of my ass, and that Ryan Coogler never expressed any desire to recast T'Challa that I could find.
You pulled a Nick Dahl.
I pulled a Nick Dahl, but unlike Nick Dahl, I actually checked my work. Something. I checked my work. That's the difference.
And I admit when I'm wrong too. So that's
you admit when you're wrong, but you don't look it up.
But you have to be called out on it. It's not an independent thing.
Yeah, I've been better about that recently.
Have you though?
Sure.
Have you though?
Sure.
Yeah, just this show, I'm like, maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but I heard a rumor about
Speaking of Black Panther,
I said that when you were gone.
Okay. We got a fantastic trailer for Creed 3. I can't tell you how excited I was to get this trailer. Like, as someone who is a fan of the Rocky movies, as someone who's a fan of the Creed films, this looks.
That tells me where you rank the Creed movies, because you said the Rocky movies and the Creed films. So I think you think higher of the Creed.
Man.
Scorsese over here.
Man.
The Creed cinema experience.
I don't know. Let me think. That's probably true of the first Creed. I think the first Rocky and the first Creed, in terms of acting and all of that stuff, are just like fantastic, and probably the second Rocky as well. After that, it gets a little wonky.
A little bit.
Yeah, it gets a little wonky. But the first Creed, at least for me, from an emotional standpoint, surpassed a lot of the Rocky films. But anyway, so we get to see Michael B. Jordan in his directorial debut.
Correct.
As in this film. And so for me, what that means, I'm really curious to see what the fight scenes look like. Because with Ryan Coogler and Stephen Caple Jr., those guys really put their own mark on what those fight scenes look like. And so while there is an emotional heft to these films, it all comes down to what happens in the ring. And fucking Jonathan Majors, you know, I've seen articles about him talking about Kang. Whoever the fuck in the Avengers goes up against Kang is just going to get murdered. Because he looks like Ant-Man. I mean, I'm gonna leave it to the pugilist to rate, you know, his body transformation. It's not even a body transformation. He's always looked pretty jacked, but he looks like he's gone.
And what's it called?
Western?
No.
Are you thinking of?
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's always generally been in good shape. It seems like he's gone like it's the equivalent of Sylvester Stallone being in shape for the Rocky movies and then making like Rocky 4 or one of the Rambo movies where he's just like super jacked. Like,
yeah. I mean, or the equivalent of Michael B. Jordan before and then after Creed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I'm thinking of somebody that was already. Yeah. You're right. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. The story for this film is Jonathan Majors plays his childhood friend who apparently got in trouble, got arrested, and he feels some kind of way about the fact that Michael B. Jordan was essentially saved from that life. And what I love is that they're connecting it to the first film where Creed, where Adonis gets adopted by Felicia Rashad, who played Creed's wife.
Apollo Creed's wife,
and took him in. And essentially, that's the thing that saved him from that life. And so probably but for that, he would be in the same situation as Jonathan Majors. And so it's going to be fascinating watching this film to see how they play in it, because she is coming back, Felicia Rashad. So I would love to see that screenplay and that interaction between the two of them. But what did you guys think?
I'll actually go first. I haven't seen, again, like every time we do this, I haven't seen any of the other Rockies or Creed movies, but I like the trailer a lot.
Who are you?
I like the trailer a lot.
Man, you should at least watch the first Creed.
I agree.
I want to watch the first Creed.
Why'd you say no? You're like, oh, as if like you weren't sure. What would you prefer?
It's not high on my list either, but it is a movie I'd like to see.
I think you would find the Rocky movies boring. Most of them. I don't think you'd like Rocky Balboa. I don't think is boring, but I don't think you'd like it. I think you'd like Creed, and I think you'd like Creed. I think it might be the only one you'd like.
We'll have to wait till the reviews when we watch it for the show. But I'm probably going to jump into this without the first Creed, just see what the background Jonesy just gave of him being.
This movie. We have a long time till this movie comes out.
Yeah, but this movie looks way better than the first Creed, mostly because of Jonathan Majors. Like, he's my entry point to this. Like, I love Jonathan Majors.
And what the hell, man? You're the only person I know who's just like, an actor's there, I'm going in.
What's wrong with that? That's the way Hollywood used to work.
I'm just saying. It's just weird.
I think
he's a studio man through and through.
I think you need to watch Rocky 4, Nick. Watch Rocky 4 before you watch Creed, because then that'll
give
value to Creed.
No, that's 3.
I still know what happens to Creed.
That's 4.
I still know what happens to Apollo.
No, 4. He dies in 4.
Apollo. No. You said Happy Birthday, Polly, the robot.
Yeah, that's 4, Jonesy. That's the Christmas present.
Yeah, 4 is a shitty movie. I'm sorry.
I think they cut that out.
No, they. Oh yeah,
you know what? I haven't seen.
They had a recent director's.
I haven't seen that.
The director's
is it
cut
good?
they did, yes.
Did you
see that? I didn't see it.
How's the director's cut, Danny?
I'm waiting for it to come out. I just know that was the scene that
it's already out. It's been out.
So Nick, explaining what we're talking. So the movies got progressively more ridiculous after 3, 4, and 5, and then but there's this really weird scene where, because the movies have been, the first one especially is essentially Oscar bait.
Yeah,
it's like full on Oscar movie. The second one is like that, but a little bit more mainstreamized. Third one, just full on mainstream. Fourth one, fucking ridiculous and stupid. And they had a scene where he gave his brother-in-law a robot, and the robot goes, "Happy birthday, Polly." It's really fucking stupid. I don't know why.
No, it's in a woman's voice. That was what is even more stupid, Jamie. Because "Happy birthday, Polly." They gave it this sexy woman's voice. because that made him. Oh, it was odd. It was really
It's
odd.
weird. It's
It
weird.
goes
And it couldn't
straight
go
up
downstairs,
sci-fi
it was-
for like one
Yeah.
It
scene.
was like a Dalek.
So this
It
dropped
was like a
last
Dalek.
year.
You want to run away? Just go upstairs.
So they dropped this last year, about this time last year, and that is one thing that they cut out. I need to go back. I need to go see this.
Yeah.
I
But anyways, I remember being pissed off at Apollo Creed because he's fucking showboating and like jumping around the ring like a fucking idiot. I'm like, oh, he's so dead. He's so dead. Like he's gone. Like there's no way. But anyways, this means nothing to Nick, so apologies for that. But you should watch Creed. Just watch Creed. You don't need.
Don't apologize to him
Creed.
for a thing that's his own fault.
Creed and Creed 2. We should watch Creed and Creed 2 at some point, Nick.
Now you're adding other movies. First you're like, just watch Creed. Now you're like, watch Creed and Creed 2.
Well, so yeah, okay.
I'll get to it.
But I like
Apparently
this
I have
trailer a lot.
time.
It's on the
This
list.
trailer was really good.
I'll have to listen.
It was like I love the emotional impact, this sort of almost survivor's guilt that I think Adonis has regarding him and his friend. Jonathan Majors with that like limp that he has going on. I'm not sure if you noticed, but then also the way he stands with like his arm hanging, and they have that silhouette shot with a light behind him, and you just see this really intimidating, almost like creature-like stance, and it's just like, oh my god, this guy's a fucking beast, and I'm
Prison.
terrified of him. Huh?
Prison.
Yeah.
No, it's like it is an element of having been in prison.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's had to adapt, and is turned into a very, very angry person, and obviously he's gone through some physical trauma as well that has affected him, but still even though he limps, he still can kick some ass, and I would not want to be in front of him when he wants that to happen. So very formidable opponents. I mean, definitely could potentially be up there as one of the best villains of the Creed franchise so far, though I thought that the second movie did a great job with that as well. So the series will keep up that proud tradition, though I don't remember the first one. I don't think that was the point of the first
It
one.
was just some random boxer.
Some
I think he was
random
a
guy, yeah.
British boxer.
Yeah, that story was very focused on the leads and not on the villains.
Yeah.
Once again, similar, I
Actually,
guess,
boxer
to
too.
Yeah. Yeah, he did well.
Yeah. He
But yeah,
wasn't an actor,
I'm
but
excited.
He was a boxer. He was an actor. Yeah.
Right.
And like I said, I do like the trailer a lot, even without the frame of reference.
Though I did, one
Daniel
thing I will
San?
say, I really like Creed 2 quite a bit, but one thing I was like, I'm kind of like, on, is just sort of like the very big ego that Adonis had in that one, to where it's just like,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, oh God, get over it. You fucking lost. Deal with it. Stop being a little baby about it. And he's sitting there in the water, screaming in the water, going, oh, which I felt it. But at the same time, I'm like, this is like some serious toxic masculinity we got going on here. Fucking deal with it, man. Get over it. People lose. And I feel like this villain that we have here is like makes it more primal and less about ego and more about like, this guy is actually like coming after
It's personal.
me, and it's more personal and less just about ego. So once again, I liked Creed 2 a lot. It's just more of a personal thing, just because that's for me. I don't like that sort of like big ego type of stuff personally, but at the same time, I still love Creed 2 as a movie. Like it really impressed me.
I don't think he had lost up until that point, right?
I think you're right.
And I think that's, to some extent, that's part of it, right?
No,
Like,
I mean,
up
it's
until that point,
realistic. When you have a boxer, they're going to have a big ego, especially when they've been winning nonstop. And it's
Yeah.
going to happen. But for me, I'm just like, get over it. I mean, as someone who loses as frequently as me, you just have to adapt to it. You have to roll with the punches, so to speak, and just get up and move quickly. Because if you just get whiny about it, you get poor, and then you just die because you don't have money for food. And that's just the way life works.
yes, that is everything you said
Daniel's
is
son.
true.
Good thoughts.
So yeah, anything, Danny? Did you give thoughts? You haven't said anything yet.
I'm enjoying this discussion about the Rocky films. I can't help but or the Rocky Creed films, I should say. Can't help but say, yeah, Jamo, I know what you're saying, but when you know and work with high-level athletes, it's a very different mindset that they have to be in, and to suddenly come out of that mindset is actually really, really difficult to handle. You're right, there is a certain element of ego there, but at that level and at that accomplishment, to have that taken away from you, it's not just the ego thing, it's a whole identity thing and all that kind of stuff. And it gets really deep into this stuff. But you're right to a point, but
you're right too. That's realistic.
Yeah,
regardless of whether or not it personally resonates with me, it's realistic of a high-performing athlete. I'm not a high-performing athlete. I don't know if you've noticed, but that is not me.
So you guys have to remind me of the story from the second one. I don't think he lost that first fight against.
Yes, he did. He lost.
No, he was going to, and I think he won on a technicality. Isn't that what happened?
No, he fucking lost.
I honestly don't remember number 2.
No, he lost. He got his ass kicked, if I recall correctly.
No, he did get his ass kicked. I think that the refs stopped the fight for some reason.
Oh, okay, maybe because he was being Drago was being like too violent or something, or doing something disqualified him.
If I'm remembering that correctly, that would add like another level of like, I only won this fight on a technique. Like I was getting the shit beat out of me. I would have lost this fight, but for. And so that would have added like this other, I gotta watch it again.
Look that up. I mean, we gotta watch it again. Nick, when I watch it again with you, we'll
there you go.
It's good. Sounds good, actually.
Yeah.
So Danny, were you done? I'm sorry, I interrupted you during your thoughts about the trailer.
I think we talked about it. I like the trailer. It looks good. I was not sure about a number 3, but after the trailer, I'm interested. I'm sold. So yeah, excited, and it was a good trailer for what it looks like the story's going to be. So yeah, I agree.
I think it's cool that we have 3 Creed movies. I didn't think we'd get this far. I'm like, oh, it's like getting up there. I mean, obviously, it's like halfway through the Rocky movies in terms of numbers. Do you think we're going to get a 4th one? That's the question.
Only if there's a robot in it.
Only if the's a robot in it. He fites a robot. It becomes Real Steel versus...
Oh, Real Steel, yeah.
Real Steel versus Creed.
You guys got anything else to say?
John Henry's story.
That was Rocky 4, Jammer. That was man versus machine. Russian machine, that was.
Yeah. I mean, it's now well, I guess they already did that in Creed 2 a bit, but I was like, it's relevant again. That struggle. Oh, stop it.
Man, the second Creed had a budget of $50 million.
What?
It looked expensive.
Yeah, it looked great. You guys got anything else to say about this?
Nah.
This was supposed to be an entire story. I just want to say it because it makes me very happy. So IDW is coming out with a flagship comic book, and it will feature Sisko coming back from his time with the Prophets in Deep Space Nine, and he is going to basically, as a god, be commanding a starship, which sounds insane.
Why does God need a starship? Because
we'll find
Sisko.
out. We will find out.
Cool.
I'm super excited. That's a great poll. I love it.
Thank you.
But I'm super excited to read this comic book because as someone who has wanted to know what happened with him as a character after the end of Deep Space Nine, this is going to be exciting. There's a part of me that kind of wishes that it could have been live action, but I understand reasons why. Actually, I think before Picard, I would have understood reasons better why. But yeah, 23 years after the end of that series, we're finally going to find out what happened to him.
Star Trek's on top of it right now.
Yeah, they are.
Doesn't matter the medium. They're like, we will bring back everything you love, even if it's just a comic book. We get you. We get the fans.
I would love if they could do like a motion comic book and get Avery Brooks to actually come back and use his voice.
Or you can do a podcast like the Con show.
Yeah. Avery Brooks as a captain and Sisko as a character. Generally, I think of him as a fan favorite. And so I know people are going to be really excited to see what happens with this. So yeah, we'll see. I will probably buy this. As someone who hasn't bought a lot of comic books recently.
This and the one we talked about last week. Deviant or whatever.
Which one was it?
Is that the name of it? Deviant? Last week's? It's the one with Worf. We discussed that comic.
Oh, yeah.
Defiant? We just briefly had a story on that. So right now they're seeming to deliver like that also sound like a comic you might pick up. So Star Trek Comics, IDW's like scratching that itch.
They're all
looking
over
for your money.
Yeah. Between their Power Rangers comic books and their Star Trek comic books, I'm incredibly happy. Yeah. So yeah. That's exciting. Anything else? Does anybody have anything to say about this comic book? I seem the only one. That
I can't afford
cares.
comics right now, otherwise I'd be down to. And I haven't
It'll
seen
be
Deep Space Nine yet. I'm working
when you
my
get
way
some
there.
money, it will be out.
I mean, I owe my friend $1,000 for comic books, so I had to pay that off before I buy new comic
Wait,
books.
hold on. Your friend loaned
So
you
you're gonna break your-
$1,000 for comic books? Can
No,
you
we both
go
had to.
deeper?
We shared a pull list, and then I stopped being able to pay him back, and then it kept going, and then I finally canceled my comics. But I owe Andrew about $1,000.
He let it lapse $1,000 before. Did he?
Sounds like a
confront you or-
scam.
Sounds
No,
like
that's
a scam.
fine. I'll pay it back. I'm gonna be.
I'm sure
wealthy
you
soon.
will, but I'm just surprised. That's a lot. That's
I know.
That's,
He's
Hey,
good
yo
friend.
there,
not-
Nicky boy. It's okay. You can pay me back when you get some money. Yeah. Like,
Till then, I owe you
know.
a soul.
Yeah, I don't know. Or a
he's gonna return
kneecap.
that soul at a key moment.
Yeah.
Swallow your soul.
Yeah.
Swallow your soul.
You don't need those knees.
I
Anyway,
don't. Can
cut
barely
the check,
stand
shut it
at
down.
work.
Do the thing.
Oh, did you guys talk about all the DC and Marvel shit while I was gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also been like, it's almost been 2 full hours. So.
Because all
It's true.
four of us are here. That was
And
always
that-
going to happen.
Danny.
Four.
We won't even mention the story till after the show. We didn't leave out a story just for you, but you'll be happy when I tell you the story at the end. You'll be like, yeah, we didn't have to talk about that because I hate this topic. But that's not why we left it out. But I like to think it is. So.
And you, dear listener,
Well,
you'll just
thanks,
have to
I appreciate
imagine what that is. But if you like what you did here, you can do all the socials, like, rate, comment, subscribe, share. We would definitely appreciate it. Also, check out LRM Online for your reading pleasure, as well as the Genreverse Podcast Network for all of your listening pleasure.
And viewing.
Check it out.
On YouTube.
Oh, yeah. And viewing. I keep forgetting. Yeah.
On
You're looking at
YouTube.
us right now.
See
hopefully.
Jammer's pussy and Nick's pussy in this episode.
Forever.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on you.
Mission accomplished.